All right, we're here. What up? Let's double check the audio. David, speak up.
You fucking speak up.
It sounds
Row,
about
row,
normal.
row, fight the power. Row, 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 fight the power.
Hey, pepperoni. What up? Hey, I was gonna mention super short podcast today because I have a lot of things I gotta submit for my students by midnight tonight, and as well as get some stuff done. So we'll hold on that because roster, yes, Smash roster, and then also we had a topic that I was super excited for because I was like, oh, this will be a fun thing to talk about today. Uh, Pushing that back as well just because it did not work out. Um, and actually, on that note, I'm gonna check one thing and see if this works out. Probably won't. But let's see. Maybe it happens in the podcast. We'll see. Play your cards right, David.
Play your fucking cards right, kids.
Um,
Oh, fuck. Remind me after we wrap up that I got some hilarious shit to share with you as well.
can't tell the peeps at home.
For this, no. But there's been a fun life update. That
Is it
I feel
concerning?
like
Is it concerning anything we talked about the last time that you can't say out loud?
no.
Okay.
No, this has to do with a family member. So it's kind of one of those things that I'll tell you off air.
Okay. I've had to do this thing on. Oh my god. Hold on. I'm sorry, y'all. I there's a rhyme and reason as to why I've been so hectic in terms of everything. It seems. Okay. Oh my god. Okay then. Okay. All right. Can wait. No problem. Appreciate you. And I gotta get something posted here. Um, David's gonna get heated up this podcast. I can tell. We got a certain news story to talk about.
I mean, I got a couple things I definitely want to bring up during this podcast. We'll see what you bring up as opposed to what I've been having in the noggin.
That's fair. What should I eat tonight? I haven't eaten today.
You haven't eaten today. That's not fucking healthy, my guy. You should do.
Welcome to my life.
My
It's
brosif,
my...
how are you going to take care of the masses when you don't take care of yourself?
That's the point. Sooner to die, dude.
I guess I'll die. All right.
Hell yeah. Um, Man, I cannot. You know, like the human brain's really not built to multitask, and people always assume we're gonna like, or everyone can multitask, and it's not true.
Yeah, but you got them ADHDs. So how can you not multitask?
I don't. You know what? How about this? I don't output my brain at a sufficient enough level for me to feel like that's why you hear no typing right now. I want to use a decent sentence before I. Otherwise, I give you like half-ass sentences, whatever. Uh, David, can you check chat real quick? I see it moving in the corner of my eye.
All right. We got a pepperoni in the chat asking, are we going to talk about the masterpiece that is the new Megamind movie?
David's all over that. He watched that thing 4 times already.
It's true. I have seen it with both eyes 40 times, twice with my asshole. No, I legitimately have not seen it, but I did see that it is. It premiered at a 0% on Rotten Tomato,
Interesting.
and I think the audience score was at a 9% last I looked.
Hey, chat, did you hear that, by the way? Let me know. I want to know if you guys hear all this.
Do you hear the sound of D's nuts?
It's
Tells Heard.
Heard. Okay. How do I stop that? Let's see.
Carefully.
I think this. I guess I'll find out in a second.
You thought wrong, bitch.
Wait, I have a chat support up right now because I've had to look up chat support for a certain thing. Yeah, I heard. Okay. Did you hear that too? I think I turned it off. Okay. Okay. Give me like 1 minute to at least type out my problem to this people so I can like autopilot the rest.
All right, I'll let you do your thing, my guy. While you were doing that, chat. I didn't hear it anymore. If you did again, okay. Also, this is why I love DreamWorks, because they can put out something so terrible, but then put out a new trailer for a gorgeous movie the next day. What trailer did they put out though? Gorgeous. Also, back in the chat, Shave Dave. Yes, it is. It was time for my Celestial Purge. I do it once a season, and we are finally getting to just rain weather now, which means we're basically in Maine spring, where it's just wet and mud. So it was time for that quarterly shave. David, what do you think about the police? Well, you know what we all say about the police, and that's fuck the police. The Wild Robot just recently. Oh, okay. I am not familiar with the Wild Robot.
All right. That's not my problem. If I disconnect because I need to read this, my bad. Let's do this.
Whoop whoop.
Welcome to the Blue Reeves Podcast, episode number 245. I'm Adrian. That's David.
Hell yeah.
At back, he's already in the chat asking, David, is that beer room temperature or ice cold?
Somewhere in between. Just because I did get these from the refrigerated section. Because there's only one store locally around me that sells Sapporo at all. And they keep it in the refrigerated section. But I've been home for like 3-ish hours, so they've just been sitting on my floor for the last 3 hours.
Kells was saying that's his piss from earlier, room temp. And April with David's going hardcore.
No, these are light, so they go pretty quick. Yeah, it's only 4.9% by volume.
Damn, do you sell the piss?
I mean, you know how much I piss, I probably should.
You know who Airsoft Patty is?
I have no idea who that is.
That's a YouTuber. I've never followed them, but I occasionally, because I follow that delinquent circle of dumbasses on YouTube. They end up every once in a while kind of just floating around that top. I guess they live near you. They're currently in the shack in the middle of nowhere.
Hell yeah.
But they and I read, because I don't know if you know who Gamer from Mars is. I know we talked about him before. He's a guy that does like those.
I vaguely do.
Yeah, he like does YouTube things. Or he'll like talk about creators and stuff like that or whatever. And they mentioned, and the reason I bring it up was because I guess when he was recording that was literally when that crazy motherfucker who's not a good person hurt some people that are not too far from you at the bowling alley. Yeah. I guess he was talking about, I guess they were recording it. They just happened to be in the area during that time. And they're like, oh, this is stuff that's happening during this part. And they mentioned, oh yeah, we're not far from that either. I'm like, oh, hey, I know that area.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, shoutouts. Anyway, this is I was like about to say 40 different shows. I don't know why, just not the one I was supposed to. This is Blue Rupees. This is our video game podcast. We go live on YouTube every Tuesday. We talk about video games. Sometimes we don't. It's a mixed bag. Whatever you get, and you're gonna be happy about it. Right, David?
True. We pretend that we're about video games, but truly at the end of our day, what this really is just a free therapy session, to be honest.
Sure. Pop culture podcast. David doesn't know that much about pop culture.
That is true. I have pop culture thrusted upon me, and I just kind of react to what I see. I don't go seeking it out. Really, I simplify it as we are a nerd culture podcast because we talk about the video games occasionally. talk about a lot of dumb weed bullshit. We talk about superhero nonsense. Once in a while, I'll bring up some wrestling information, which I have one quick wrestling update to give it when we get to a news bit. But otherwise than that, I mean, we just kind of fuck around and we find out. Dave only knows about country music. Look, I generally like to think that I am someone that is open to listen to most kind of music. Country music is one of those genres that like I genuinely have tried to understand why a lot of people like. And the closest I can get to saying I genuinely like country, and it's the most like basic bitch, like, oh, I like this of country. But you know what? It's basic bitch goodness for a reason. That's Garth Brooks. I will say I do enjoy some Garth Brooks songs.
So
Thunder Rolls is fucking based. I enjoy that song, but
yeah, so all right. Hold on. Let's go down. We never gone down 240 episodes. We've literally never gone down a country rabbit hole, have we? We've not. No,
No.
I don't believe so at all. All right.
no, because the running joke is that I only listen to video game soundtracks and metal.
Video games soundtracks. Someone that said video games soundtracks in country is really funny to me though. Like metal makes sense, right? Like, yeah, you're okay. But imagine someone was the fucking like Undertale and then just Garth Brooks pops on. That's some wild audacity. Let me
I only listen to old Taylor Swift and the soundtrack to Darius Plus.
oh, hold on. The girlfriend asked, "Did you eat enough today?" I said, "Nope, Lamau." It's an ongoing thing.
Fucking hell.
That's basically my Spotify list as a pepperoni. I love that. So sorry, I'm getting chat messages. You guys didn't hear on the pre-show. I have a chat support up for something. So when you see my face just go like that, yeah. So let's go down this rabbit hole real quick.
Hell yeah.
Fun lore that I guess I've never really talked about. My family is really big into country music. Growing up where I did out in
Really?
good old Bakersfield, California, in the middle of fucking nowhere. Ira says just gorillas, and I listen to Metal Gear music. That's fair. That's a vibe.
I mean,
I
Gorillaz fucking forever band.
Gorillaz my favorite band. It still is. So I listen to a lot of country. Because of that, they would listen to country like every Sunday morning when they would clean the house, and that shit just like burned. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'll save that for later. But I did the physical thing to. I've learned that if I do something kinetically, it does help my memory.
Interesting. So anyway, I would the fuck. So Jesus, my brain, guys, y'all. I had a Ben's day for a little while. My brain's like on extreme malnourished, malfunctioning. Okay, rewind. Every Sunday I'd have to listen to country music, and it's been burning my brain. So I know like so many, maybe late '80s, all '90s, and early aughts, what they call the aughts, country music. No one believes me, and I've had multiple partners that just did not believe me, and they were like in the country. I had at least one partner that was in the country. Actually, no, I had a couple, and they were like not believe me. I'm like, no, I'm just like, no, you don't. I'm like, look, I'll go on Apple Music and I'll just look at the country playlist. All right, like all modern hits country, or all the '90s hits country, play them all and recite them all by lyrics. They're like, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah, but it's like I don't actively listen to country. It's literally burned into my fucking skull. I know all these songs. They're not bad, but I just don't need to hear them. And I don't mind. You know what? And I actually almost went to a country phase just to watch reactions on YouTube. Garth Brooks, though, you mentioned. I would love to go to a live show for Garth Brooks. Have you ever seen his live shows?
No, I heard they are actually wild though.
So he started the whole craze of hey, this is our video game podcast. He started the old craze of like stadium country, which is like the shitty country you hear now. He technically started that thing, but the thing is he's fucking incredibly talented, and I'm talking like there's like a fucking country concert of him just being lifted up and just like flying across the stage while playing guitar and singing. It's so fucking amazing. and I would love to go to a concert like that. The girlfriend hates country, but I'm like trying to tell her, I'm like, it's stadium country you hate. It's this kind of stuff, but like, because she just doesn't like overly patriotic things. You know, like the patriarchy.
Agreed. Fair.
Like, you guys get along in that, how and with certain things you guys hate in life. But the police. So the but yeah, so and I was saying in Garth Brooks, he's not on streaming.
Really?
Yeah. So
does he just not give his rights out to streaming?
Oh my god.
Because he, if I remember correctly, I think he directly owns all his music rights, right? He doesn't go through a record label or anything, right?
Yeah. So he did not. He only allows one service to stream his music. That's Amazon. Literally, Garth Brooks is Amazon music streaming exclusive because his rationale was saying that because they're also a retailer, therefore they have to push my music as well. That was a deal. He is not anywhere else. You cannot find his music streaming, and which is nuts. He is literally one of the most well known, probably the most well known country music star. He has all these sales, just never been on streaming. It's fucking nuts. But yeah, just never on there, which is interesting. And I think that's a play, hell of a play, I'd say, especially with the way that streaming is and how much it fucks over artists. Kudos to you. He's playing in Vegas right now, so I was like contemplating, but it's always expensive out there when they have a residency in Vegas. He extended it all through this year. I was like almost contemplating for something. Oh, it'd be so fun to go to a Garth Brooks concert, but I'm not. Because I'm going to a lot of other stuff, David. The Near concert was one of them. You know what I did? I did something that you would fucking love, actually. Oh my god. I don't think... Sorry, vamp for a second.
Yeah. There was... Like, I just messaged my partner to go ahead and ask her to refresh my memory. Because there was one other country music song that she showed me. I'm like, you know what? That's actually cool. And I feel bad. I can't remember the artist's name. But she was a black country artist.
Beyonce.
And was one of the...
Because she made a country song recently.
Yes,
you hear
Beyonce.
about that?
No.
She made a country song and every country person's pissed about it. That's not country.
Oh, okay. Yes. I think
That's
Leah
not
mentioned something
country.
about that.
Instead, it has to be a white guy that has also fuck you money, but just doesn't really give a shit about you. But that's country. Cool, got it. Continue.
But no, there was a wonderful song that was by a black country artist back in, I think it was the 70s, and she didn't really get recognition for it. But I guess a guy within the past year did a cover for it and it blew up, and then it wasn't until recently at a country music
that's awards. A lot of music, you know that there's a lot of music, like Elvis, for example. Elvis is the king of, he didn't make his songs, he just took them from black artists and made them popular.
It's a big ass Eminem line for a reason.
So David, I booked something on Sunday that you would fucking love, that you're probably going to be super jealous about when you hear about it in a second. So
that might be a good friend.
I don't know if you saw it on Facebook. You might have seen it. I posted about it on Facebook. Don't spoil yourself. Like listen to me. In 2018, David, I found out you could book a Firewatch tower.
I saw it on your Twitter.
Yeah, I booked a fucking Firewatch tower to stay in over the fucking summer for 4 days, dude. It is.
Are you gonna play Firewatch while you're in the Firewatch tower?
I showed my students who we just played the game. I was like, I'll be sure to let you guys know in case I end up being in contact with someone from some other place. You don't know the details, but I'm referencing the game. So it is off the grid completely.
Hell yeah!
Like it is. It's got an amazing view and it's off the grid. And that wait list is like 1,000 people long.
Jesus Christ.
But you know your boy, right? Your boy has, I have purchased 5 PS5s on launch day. I purchased 2 Xbox Series X on launch day. Your boy will come through when it comes to having to mash that F5 and knowing when to grab shit, when to grab shit, you know? These
True.
these, and I'm sorry, you know, I genuinely feel a little bad about it, right? Because I think about like, I'm sure it was a bunch of like older couples, right, that are like just like, okay, we'll go there around that time, and then they weren't expecting me.
It's the last thing we want to do before we die. Nah, you don't understand. I gotta go first.
But then I'm here, the veteran of getting shit that is like, my screen's all blurry. Of getting shit
of this man.
Of getting shit that is hard to get. So how do I do that? I'm built different at Baggy. That's just me, dude. I'm built different than that. I had
Adrian has like his luck points put into like the weirdest things to have luck in.
I checked out, dude. So me and the girlfriend were sitting next to each other. I also let my coworker know because I told her about that. She's like, "Oh, I'm in." I'm like, "Cool." So I let her know. It's like, "Hey, these are when the dates go up. Here's the dates that we're going for." Perfect. The girlfriend was sitting next to me, also on the phone. I was there. Perfect. We're all ready. Boom, saw it, refresh, grabbed that, and you had to leave a comment on there, which I saw. I typed something in real quick, and hit there, and then I just fucking zoomed, and I don't know. I'm literally like, I'm just built different when it comes to like just grabbing that. When whoever was going through it, she booked dates. She's like, hit send. After I already been done, I was like, oh, I wonder if it's like multiple people have to like book a date and they have to like weed through who got it. I don't know, because I grabbed it. It confirmed right away. I'm like, cool. And she's like, oh, hold on, I have to like submit a response. So she had to like, you have to type out a response to like a comment. You have to leave a comment. And then by the time she hit send, she's like, oh, it's this error. I think you got the tickets. How'd you get them? Like you had gone through, grabbed the dates, submit a comment, and hit send, and we're done. By the time I even got to the fact that I hit send without the comment, I'm like, I don't know, but whatever, I got it. So I'm like, I'm booked up. I'm excited. You know what I'm gonna do, David? You know what's like the site? I'm gonna knock off something. I'm gonna knock off two things off the bucket list in this one time. One, I am gonna. Ooh, hold on. Can I make it a few things off the bucket list? I might make that a triple threat. There's something else I wanted to do. I'll mention this in a second. But I'm gonna knock two things off the bucket list. One, stay and watch the Firewatch Tower. Of course, that's cool as fuck. Hell yeah. Like you could see like city from like far away, but like there's no fucking reception out there. That's great. Two, Bend, Oregon, David, the final blockbuster. It's there. You know I'm going to the final blockbuster. I'm gonna go there because I need to relive. I need to. You know, like what boomer ass mid-30s to like late 20s out there does not miss being in a fucking blockbuster. Like, whew. You know how fucking nice your Friday night was when you would just go there and you would rent a game or a movie and stuff? There's literally something different about that.
Yeah.
You know what the convenience factor of all this shit these days? It's lame as
hell.
hell.
A good chunk of my movie collection fucking comes from blockbusters.
Dude, you know what? It's like the availability of things just makes it harder, right? And this comes to us as adults, right? The fact that we can buy any game means that we don't play any game. But when we were kids, hey, here's your game, enjoy it for the next 4 months of your life. Fuck yeah, we are. Yeah. And we played the fuck out of that. We found glitches. We could speed run that shit like that. We made that like our game, right? So I'm. Go ahead. I know you. I want to speak all the time. You got.
No, I was gonna say. I mean that's why I hold some games with so much reverence, just because. All right, when I first got my PlayStation, I had Final Fantasy games. I had Mortal Kombat, and I had a couple other weird RPGs here and there. And you bet your ass, I basically cycled through them in a loop. I played one, moved on to the next, and just fucking kept going. I've played Final Fantasies 7 through 9 more times than I probably care to admit to.
Yeah, like it's different. And the availability, while it's obviously cool, it hits different, right? It's when you go to a blockbuster and you have to pick your movie, and that's what you have. Like that's it. And you watch it, like, you know, dude, the lines are different, right? You're in the line, you get some popcorn, you get some fucking snacks that aren't ridiculously overpriced, right? Like it's like
like there's no longer that kind of thought of like, oh man, I've rented this so many times that the store just let me fucking keep it. Like
It's
I have a few games in my collection genuinely because I fucking rented from Blockbuster so many times. Like, yeah, you've basically paid for it, keep it.
God, it's such an era, and you know what, that and like midnight launches, dude, they make I feel bad for this era of kid. Like, yeah, they grow up with shit like Game Pass where they can play whatever they want, but like they lose the magic of like, no, like there's a magic behind pulling back a bit. Like you have like it they and they'll never do it, right?
Yeah.
I think I put a hypothesis out. I'm curious. I think generations always have a tendency to overcorrect, right? Um, and I feel like the next generation's really gonna be about turning off things. I think our generation's so hardwired to connecting that the rebellion of this generation is gonna be fuck that technology shit. We're good. I hope it is, because I would love to just like peel it back a bit. You know, I think everything, and to bring it back around to games somehow, I think everything needs to be peeled back a little bit. In game development, the bloat of everything, it's.
Yep.
I mean, I would like no layoffs, but I mean,
Yeah, but don't you know that Skull and Bones is the first of its kind quadruple A game that deserves both being $70 and
did you
microtransactions?
see the WB news today?
Mm. We just can't handle the volatility of these one and done games. We need to be more focused on mobile and free to play, despite the fact that they released
The
one of
best
the highest
sell no, the
grossing
best selling
games
game of
last
last
year.
year. It
Yeah.
was the best selling game of last year.
You can't handle that kind of volatility. Get over yourself. You released one stinker. You should have known it was going to be a stinker. And you know what the stinker was? Your fucking live service game.
You would think they would understand.
Also, good luck going into the mobile market, which is such a dog eat dog fucking market of gotcha bullshit. That unless you're about to go ahead and just drop a DC waifu game, which granted they could, but truly, unless you're about to go ahead and do like the DC Universe version of Fate Grand Order, you're not fucking getting into the mobile market.
Yeah, I yeah, so there's a couple of things to mention here. Caldas, am I being too optimistic for thinking these layoffs will result in a new indie renaissance in like 3 to 5 years? I don't think. You know what? I feel like Toys for Bob might have set a really cool precedent for people. You see what happened with them?
Yeah, yeah, they basically went ahead and said, "Fuck it, we're going independent."
Yeah. So I wonder what the background is, because we've had some studios like Obsidian say, "Hey, fuck yeah, this is great." Double Fine says, "Hey, yeah, this is great. We can do whatever we want." Microsoft's cool about it. Um. All right. That was weird. They just asked to send me messages to my whatever. Fuck it. Okay, now I'm back on. So are going. Yeah, Treasure Bob went independent. They broke off Microsoft. They said they might work with Microsoft to do collaborations and more projects, but like they broke off Microsoft. Same thing, kind of like what Twisted Pixel did. Same thing what Bungie did.
Yep.
But which is weird, right? Because like I feel like every studio was like super happy with that, but then again, you're also a big corporate umbrella, and uh, they might have been on the chopping block, right? So might have made sense.
It's one of those frustrating things where everything that I've seen from that has been kind of released from behind the scenes. Shout outs to Liam Robinson, friend of the podcast. Uh, but it seems like they had a lot of things they really wanted to do, and Microsoft's like, no, or less about Microsoft, more about Activision
Yeah,
Blizzard.
I'm sure
But
Microsoft is
yeah.
so fresh in this that they have not.
Yeah, if they were directly owned by Microsoft, it would have been a different story. But Activision Blizzard, no, fuck off. You're working on Call of Duty now.
Yeah, any developer they could break the shackles of Call of Duty and go back to making stuff, Raven Software stuff like that. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the I could see it being, because I see I just, dude, Helldivers being the success it is still. And again, I know Power World fell off, but like that's fucking huge. Um, I know it's not a big studio, right? But Dave the Diver was a fucking massive
Yep.
hit, and that's a small game. Like,
And that's even getting a physical limited release now. So
yeah.
I
So
mean,
I could. I feel like, and that's probably a little bit of what's leading my creativity and wanting. Once I get past this little bump of just stress, I want to start settling into making some stuff because I know I was hinting that I would want to do that. But I feel like that's kind of like the new rush. Like, same thing with movies. Like, can we chill the fuck out with these big things? We don't need all this. And then yeah, the live
yeah,
service stuff. There can only be so many commitments. You know what? Everyone can commit to like a single one and done game. Cool, done. That was nice. Not everyone's committing to this live ongoing thing, right? I could promise you now. This is literally literal example. Uh, I have no more time for like ongoing games, right? Like I had to
yeah,
drop Overwatch, uh, and I play Marvel Snap now. I wasn't gonna like juggling both of them for a little bit, but I knew I was getting nothing done with in terms of my actual gaming collection. Near Reincarnation, while I loved, I didn't touch that because I just don't have time for an ongoing thing. Now that it's ending, cool. Which by the way, I hear there's rumors of an offline mode. Nope. Maybe, hopefully that's cool. I'd hope that.
yeah. I mean, we'll see. I would like for that as well. You know, maybe they do like that. What a lot of mobile games do, in which they do like a Switch port essentially. I once again have to do my once a podcast minimum piss, so I'll be right back.
He made it about.
Oh, I'm gone.
He made it about what? 24 minutes
Oh,
in.
arrow.
Good for him. Isn't Multiverses supposed to be going mobile too? I can see them doing more crossover Fortnite type shit with WBIPs. And I wouldn't mind that if Multiverse is going mobile, cool. But I don't know, man. I'm burnt out of all of these different mobile games just constantly just being like just always there. It's like I don't want to feel like I don't like to feel obligated. I do play Marvel Snap still. Marvel Snap is like that's my daily game, and that's why I don't mind putting money into it. I'm not gonna say I'm. I don't know, how do I say this? Am I a whale? Like, am I putting $100 in there? No. Am I putting like some money in? Yeah, because I play it literally every single day. I I mean, yeah, I play it every day. Um, so I don't mind putting the money in if it's a game that I'm interested in and I'm enjoying. Cool, I'll keep playing. David going off to off Canopy and that's the power can probably. As much as I like some live service games, I think story games are more simply because I can play whenever I want to. Yeah, and I like to binge stuff. I've noticed when I'm playing a story game, I like to like knock it out when I can. And yeah, live service when I feel obligated to play and I feel bad about missing it, that's bad. Granted, Marvel
Also, it
Snap
wasn't
can't feel like that
country, it
if
was
I'm not.
folk, Tracy Chapman.
What?
The artist I was thinking of was in country. It was actually folk, Tracy Chapman. That's who I was thinking of earlier.
Marvel Snap can feel like that. If I'm sure I would have FOMO and upset, but I mean, again, like I enjoy the game and I play it every day, so I don't mind. Adrian's gonna be addicted to the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth card game. It's 3-lane TCG like Snap is.
I've been playing. It's not like Snap at all. There's a lot of other absurd.
I heard it's a lot like what's the Witcher one?
Gwent.
Yeah.
It has some similar.
Gwent Hearthstone.
It's the thing is it's not really apt to call it necessarily a card game. It's more like a territory control game. The only way I can think to explain it is almost like a competitive Minesweeper is kind of what it feels like.
Interesting. Yeah, I saw people playing it, so I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we talk about
games we played.
what we played a little bit later. Yeah, and I got a nice stack here. I got more of the freebies, and there's a gold item in there. When we also get into what we got.
Let's do it then, because like I said, I got a busy night ahead.
All right, so real quick then, a game I actually paid for. I paid $3 hairs for this one, solely building out that Wii U collection. Sonic All-Star Racing Transformed on Wii U. This is a fucking banger game, though.
Yeah,
I played that co-op with 3 buddies.
It's a good time.
It was a fantastic time. And now, my friend from work, he came through with the next bundle of goodies from his collection. He's still got, I think he said, like 2 more boxes to go through of stuff.
Real quick,
Uh,
I gotta
yes.
review. Is Wreck-It Ralph in that one?
I think Wreck-It Ralph is in this one. I can't remember if it's this one or the PC version. Nope, bonus pack. Includes Wreck-It Ralph and Danica Pantry.
Let's go.
Which is a running joke with my friends and I.
Anyway, new batch of games.
Yeah, so new batch of games. We're going to start with the 2 duplicates in my collection. Speaking of which, if you did want, because I don't think I made it clear last time I talked about stuff, if you did want that Digital Devil Saga Collector's Edition bundle I have, that is a spare I have now, the one he gave me. I already bought and replaced all mine ages ago. It's PS2.
So it's a good, it's a high value PS2 game.
Yes, the duology bundle for the collector's edition of Digital Devil Saga is like $140.
All right, I'm interested because I'm interested in my PS2 being high value.
Fair enough. We'll get to the high value PS2 games in a second. Before we do some duplicates, we got some White Knight Chronicles 2.
Hell yeah.
Some Final Fantasy X-2.
Hell yes.
I will die on this fucking hill. That is one of the best Final Fantasy games. Period. Full stop. I fucking love that game. I know a lot of Final Fantasy fans shit on X-2, but you know what? It's a fun, cheesy Charlie's Angels-esque storyline, and the gameplay is unironically some of the best in the fucking series. So fight me on that one. I will die on this hill. X-2 is a phenomenal fucking entry in the series. Then after that, we have another cheat boy here. We got Mass Effect 3. One day I'll actually play this game. That's right. Shouts to Crazy A Pepperoni. I just downloaded FF7 Remake. We have some words to have about that series now, but we'll get to those. I'm excited to have this version of the game complete in box and physical. I bought this on like PS3 at one point, and I told myself I'd go and get it physically at one point, but I'm glad that my buddy just straight up gave it to me, and that's the PS2 version of Odin Sphere,
Nice.
which does play a hair differently from the PS4 version. So it'll be interesting to at some point go back and play them side by side. Not the version of this game I would buy. This version does have bonus features compared to the 360 version, but the 360 version does run better. So I will say, if you're deciding which version of this game to get, I'd say the bonus features don't actually make up for the lack of frame rate. But Eternal Sonata on PS3.
Okay.
And now for the big girthy $100 boy that he gave me this time, Suikoden 5.
Ooh, you know what, Suikoden, the whole Suikoden series was one of mine. I was eyeballing it. I was like, that'd be a nice get to get them all. That and Xenosaga. Xenosagas. If I can get Xenosaga, the Spanish.
I'm just missing 3.
Yeah, that's the one, dude. That's the one. I want it.
It's frustrating. I'm missing Xenosaga 3 and Dot Hack 4. So I'm missing the final entries of the games that do art with the spine on PS2 that are well known.
Yep.
Also, Kel's in the chat. I beat Remake right before Rebirth dropped. It's crazy how much Rebirth makes Remake feel like a prologue or like a proof of concept. Oh man,
which is ironic because that's kind of how Midgard felt in FF7, right? Like,
yes,
it's like, oh hey, here's a couple things. Oh, by the way, leave and explore.
Remake is very much there. I go back, if you go back and listen to the older episodes of this podcast, I was very angry with Remake. I am a lot softer on it now because, you know what? Past Me didn't let them cook. Past Me did not let them cook. I was looking at it from the wrong lens. Past Me was dumb and thought Remake was a remake.
To be
Test
fair,
Me didn't realize
you
that
would
Remake is
assume.
a sequel.
You
You would assume it's what's on the box, but really what they made was a sequel. And especially after, just even from the opening minutes of fucking Rebirth, I was like, oh no. In case you had any doubts before, this isn't a remake series. This is a fucking sequel.
I'm in a conundrum. I feel like I need to play Crisis Core.
Okay, so the only thing I'll say about Crisis Core is that it does add additional context to Zack and Sephiroth, as well as puts a spotlight on two other characters that are impactful in various ways to Final Fantasy and Gilles and Genesis. But, however, there are definitely some people that are of the mindset that when you reveal too much, you cheapen the experience. And Crisis Core very much reveals everything. So it's kind of one of those things
I'm gonna play it eventually, but do you think I should play as? Because I'll like get to what you play. You played this.
Yeah.
I'm trying to bounce around because I've only cracked the game open. I just started it and then I was like, I have Nier still. I need 100% that game, so I turned it off right away, went back, and now that I'm like not in like, all right, I'm not getting this thing done anytime soon. Should I just power through Crisis Core and then go through? Because I'm wondering, am I gonna lose out on some of this hype by not experiencing Crisis Core ahead of time and then like being on that level with everyone?
I'm going to put a strong maybe. And the only reason why is if my thought process on where the series is going is correct, because of the timing of everything, I feel like Crisis Core is going to be very relevant for some things coming up.
Yeah, so let me knock out the chat.
And also,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna actually just do the same thing. Going into the chat, Crazy A Pepperoni, is FF7 Remake a sequel to the original? It's my first
Yes.
Final Fantasy game.
Yes.
100%. It is. I would strongly recommend, before you go into Remake, play the original game. If nothing else, play the original FF7, do all the side story content that is in that game, follow a walkthrough, let it hold your hand so you get every little detail, and then at that point, go into Remake. I would say if after 7 Original you really enjoyed your time and you really want to go through the immersed atmosphere of it all, read a Before Crisis wiki, watch Advent Children, play Crisis Core. But if you're not like, oh, I'm fucking down bad for every little detail of 7, play through 7 Original and then go into Remake. Remake does a bait and switch where you think FF7 Remake is meant to be a remake of the original, but it's very clear by the end of 7 Remake and by the very fucking beginning of Rebirth, it is a sequel, not a remake.
I'm gonna say this: is the ideal way to play 7 OG and then remake? Yes. If you are at a point in life where you just said you just downloaded Rebirth or a remake, if you think you're in the mood because you kind of want to feel like you're playing something along with people, play remake. Again, that's what I did. I played remake. And then I went and played OG. So I had a unique experience with that. But I think I'm still on board with everything, right? So it's like I don't think you're missing out. So if that's the way you want to you want to hop on board, sure. I do agree that at some point, original should be played before Rebirth.
The only reason why I say you should start at least with original 7 is because without the context of original 7, the absolute ending scene of Remake, all the emotional weight is lost on you.
No, that's fair. Like I'm saying, I get it, but I'm saying, yeah, you're right. Like the way to play it is that's 100 billion% the way to play it. If you're just not in that mind to like go through a PS1 RPG, you will still have an enjoyable time and still have fun by the time you get to where you're at. But if you could do what
Yeah.
David's saying, I would also throw my 2 cents. I wish I went that way, but I'm not unhappy with the way I did it either. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, and if you're following a guide, honestly, it should only take you like 40 hours tops to go ahead and go through all 7.
I want to do everything still. Like I still have it there, and I can start a guide and just grind through and just do it. But the Knights of the Round is just not something I want to fucking do.
Especially where he's introduced proper in Rebirth, you should really look up Vincent's stuff.
I already did Vincent's stuff.
Did you do the?
I literally the only things I haven't done is Knights of the Round and beat Sephiroth.
Oh, that's all. If those are the only things you haven't done, all right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I'm not pressed. I'm not pressed about it at all. I've done everything I needed to, so I'm like, whatever. Like, have I beaten FF7? No, I haven't. All I need to do is grind for a little bit, probably like an hour or two grind, and I'll beat Sephiroth. Cool, and then I'll put that on my list of games I beat. Knights of the Round is kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. I'm not. I have zero. Even after grinding 100 some hours in the near fucking franchise of grinding shit, I still have 0% interest in doing that in FF7. Call it bias. I just don't know. I don't give a fuck. Like, I just don't want to. But it is what it is. Yeah, I'll probably download the OG one too. Yeah, and you know what? You could up the speed up too, so it goes a little bit faster.
Yeah, if you're playing a modern port of it.
Yeah. So, yeah, David, since I've now lost the shiny appeal of playing a brand new at launch game. I'm now, and I got about 2 hours into Crisis Core right beforehand. I'm like, maybe I just go through Crisis Core, do that, because also on the wait, here's kind of also my rationale. I'm trying to talk you into saying yes, because also like I just, and I'll talk about it more, but I 100% Automata, and that was that with the levity of the entire fucking Yokoverse behind it now, and now it's like the weight of the world is now on my mind on that. So I'm like, maybe it is a good decompress, even a mini decompress in between.
You know, Rebirth. That's probably, in terms of Final Fantasy VII, the best comparison to it is think of Crisis Core as the Drakengard 1 of the Final Fantasy VII universe.
Bro, I watched like one or two people last night just talk about the madness of Drakengard 1, and I was like, fuck, I want to play Drakengard 1. Like, it's almost wild to think that I've gone through, right? I went through the heinous shit, got through the beauty, found it again. I'm like, I kind of want to just revisit and just really, really understand how stark of a fucking contrast everything is. We talked about that, but man, it's wild. But let's talk. I don't want to dive into Nier stuff because I will derail that shit because I will. Rebirth. So I'm gonna probably, I think I'm talking myself into it. I might just do Crisis Core. It's also a little better. I'm tired. I don't really know if I have the will to put into another lengthy RPG currently, because I am also juggling Persona 3. I still gotta knock out.
Oh yeah. That's,
so
like
I think Crisis Core might be the move, and then I'll just restart. I'm not far into that. I really wanted to play Remake. If I can somehow find a copy, here's what I'm gonna do too. If I can somehow find a copy to borrow of FF7 on PS4, I'll probably import my save, because I was talking to John. I mentioned this last week. He was able to power through the game on easy with the New Game Plus real quick. I was like, I kind of want to do that.
It does go quick. I will say they do give you a recap of the story.
They do. I watched that recap
on it, and I watched that recap, and I was like, yeah, that basically gives you everything you need to immediately hop right in.
It's not the same.
It's not the same because there's a lot of finer details missing.
David, tell me about your experience with Rebirth.
So I'm a couple hours into Rebirth, and I will say it's interesting because the way that they explained it was like, oh yeah, if you play the demo, you know, then basically as soon as you start up the game, you're going to be able to just skip and go right into things. But the game doesn't start where the demo started, which is what the impression I got was, and what many people got. I don't even want to. Oh man, I don't necessarily want to talk about. Oh man, it's literally the opening bit of it. But because we have someone in chat that hasn't experienced it, I'm not going to go into details. But we basically see in the ending of FF7 Remake, as the two paths are crossing, the game starts, chapter 1, with what happened when the paths cross from the other side of things.
Mm-hmm. See, and here's the thing,
And we
David.
go,
Here's the
yeah.
thing. Right out the gate, that's where I was like, I should probably have done that first. Like, at least I did. At least I started it, so I could be like, all right, I kind of have a slight grasp of things. But like, I could tell for people that was a special fucking moment out the gate. They're like, oh, fuck.
Yes. Again, that whole scene with the ending, and then yeah, don't worry, Kels. I'm not gonna say anything directly, but that whole ending sequence of FF7 Remake is such a wild, emotional fucking journey
You know,
that anyone that just even base FF7 to have the whole context of what the journey for those characters were. And especially if you at least went through the game and then Advent Children and had the further emotional tie-ins, but especially if you have the complete compendium of 7, it's a fucking wild, hurtful journey.
I wonder. I don't think I have it in me to go through remake again. Just without the new game plus, I don't know if I have it in me. I'm contemplating it still, but I do wonder how much of a banger would be to go from remake into rebirth, just like back to back, no break. I wonder if like that's a wild fucking whiplash or not. I also, but like also sometimes with shows and stuff, is binge always like our preference? Yes, but we gotta admit sometimes that weight hits a little harder.
It does, and I will say, from a gameplay perspective, Rebirth feels like a super fine-tuned version. Like, the best way I can explain it, and chat might be able to better kind of understand the comparison here, because I know you're not super familiar with it, but the evolution of the gameplay feels like going from Kingdom Hearts 1 to Kingdom Hearts 2, where you feel like all of the first game very much was like laying the foundation of the concept of how they wanted it all to work.
Oh, you mean like
And
Nier
then the
Replicant into
second
Nier
game is like,
Automata?
yes, or even like that, where it's like, we know vaguely how we want this to function, and then you have that follow up. It's like, perfect. You have perfected what you wanted to do.
I'm gonna have FF7 and Tales of Vesperia on my mind. That's fair.
I mean,
I can
Tales
only
of Vesperia right on over here still, because I run out of shelf space.
I can only experience Rebirth with the Vince McMahon meme where he's getting teary eyed.
Oh man,
David, please do tell about your experience real quick. You only have a couple hours, but how's your experience so far?
It's been a journey. So, the emotional gut punch of going into just the whole first chapter is an immediate follow up to the other side of what happened at the end of Remake. And it was interesting going through it with Leah. She's never gone through 7. She's watched Advent Children, and she's watched me play bits and pieces of 7 Remake. So she has a vague understanding of the world of Final. Oh, and she watched me play through Crisis Core. So she knows a vague understanding of the world and the characters, more so for certain other characters that are side characters, we'll say. And so she's like, "Oh, hey, it's that guy." I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Wait, isn't he supposed to be?" I'm like, "Yeah." And it's kind of one of those things like, "Oh, so this is all different then." I'm like, "Yeah." And so we're going through it. And the whole opening sequence. And if you've watched some of the trailers for the game, you kind of have been spoiled for the intro to the game. Because a lot of those trailers show what does happen in the beginning of the game. And it's like, oh, okay, interesting. Well, this is going to be fun to follow up on. And then after chapter 1, we get basically the next chapter, which is where the demo was, which is the Nibelheim incidents. And what happens is, interestingly, again, you do technically get to skip like a part of the Nibelheim incident if you play the demo. You play right on up until when you're leaving to go to the reactor, and then it gives you the option of like, hey, do you want to skip this next section? And then you say yes, and then it brings you basically to when you go and have to deal with the fire. And I was like, oh, okay. So we skipped to whatever. Fine, sure. Um, and oh, man, I will say, Rebirth is like the third time we've seen that cinematic of him turning his back in the fire. But goddamn, they always find an extra layer to add it, like just a certain chill to it each time. That I can't help but be like, all right, I'm fucking down. Let's go. And again, it's fascinating because immediately there's even more changes. We have the sequence where we're done with the Nibelheim incident. Cloud kind of explains what happens, and from the beginning, Tifa calls him out on it. And I'm like, whoa, we're already having this fucking conversation? But they add an extra layer to it. Not only does she call him out immediately on the Nibelheim incident, something else gets brought up about the incident. And it's like, oh, I see what we're doing now. This is gonna be fucking wild. Okay. And so, I'm trying to keep it vaguish. And it's fucking interesting where we're going already. And then after that, I proceeded to spend the rest of my time playing the card game because that's what I do. And I have enjoyed Queen's Blood a lot. I think it's definitely a game that RNG is a major factor to it. And that's one of the weakest parts of, I feel, of anything that's trying to be a card game. But I think it's a misnomer calling Queen's Blood a card game. Cards are how you play the game, but again, it feels more like almost like a minesweeper kind of thing. Like, how to explain it? You ever play? Oh man, there's this game that Lee and I picked up a while ago. That's like crafting. It's a crafting kind of game with these little dragons. I don't remember the name of it. But there's a lot of games essentially where you will play the game and you have cards to represent things, but the cards are not necessarily the major point of how the mechanics work, and that's kind of the issue of what I'm getting to. Kel's in the chat. My issue with Queen's Blood is it feels like your opponent always has better cards. Yes, but that's always by design with like any real competitive game like that. The biggest bit of advice I can give when it comes to Queen's Blood, at least in the early game, is territory expansion. It's not about going ahead and getting super powerful cards. It's about board control. And maybe this also partially comes from a person whose dark soul, whose fucking soulless entity of a human being comes from playing Black Blue Mill and Magic the Gathering, or Black Blue Red Control, or Black Red Control, or really just any kind of control in Magic the Gathering, where the entire playstyle is telling your opponent, no, you're not allowed to play your cards, and taking their deck and throwing it against the wall because only you get to play Magic the Gathering. Board control is fucking king in Queen's Blood. That is my tip to anyone playing that game.
Nice.
Don't build a strong deck. Build a deck that immediately expands quickly across the board. And that shuts down, at least so far in my experience, most of your opponents in the game. Also crazy, Pepperoni in the chat. Can't wait to see Cait Sith in both. I know nothing of him, but I keep seeing his design and I love it. Real quick on that one. I have heard audio. I haven't gotten to him yet, but I have heard audio from clips that I saw. They actually do in the in remake and rebirth call him Cait Sith. So I'm fucking happy because that's how I've called him my entire fucking life. And I'm going to continue calling him. So I feel better that they actually call him Cait Sith. And two, I want to know what fucking clown designed Moogles in this game. Again, I haven't gotten to Moogles, but I've seen screenshots, and these things look fucking horrifying. The Moogles they have introduced in FF7 Rebirth look like fucking pre-alteration Sonic. And it's disgusting and horrifying, and I won't stand for this Moogle slander. But yes, that is my experience so far with Rebirth. Is the whole first chapter is a roller coaster of emotions, and Queen's Blood is fun.
I'm so annoyed. I am.
Both Kels and Crazy 8 Pepperoni in the chat. The movies aren't great, Lamau. I missed the bunny-eared ones, and I saw your tweet. They kind of look like Muppets. That's an insult to Muppets. Like, Jim Henson would be rolling in his grave with you comparing those things to Muppet.
Sorry, I just got the most non-helpful response back, so I need to message them again.
Hell yeah.
All right. Anyway, nice. So far so good. You're just having a great time.
I am so far enjoying it. One of the other gameplay changes they made that I actually really agree with is they got rid of individual character level and it's just a party level.
Good, because yeah, that was like literally de-incentivizes you to like swap. You rather just like, all right, well, you guys are strong. Same thing with Pokemon. It was like,
yeah,
why would I start over? These guys are strong.
Yeah, this game highly wants you to tinker and customize and play around. Fucking love it. Other than that, there is one other game I have played this past week because I stupidly took time off of work thinking I was going to get 7 in the mail, and I didn't. Oh, and I got the deluxe edition. I forgot to mention because I don't have it physically right in front of me. But I did get the deluxe edition of it. But I didn't. It didn't arrive until Monday, which shout-outs to my loving partner. It arrived in the mail on Monday, and she's like, hey, you got a package. I'm like, could you do me a solid because you work from home? Could you install the game for me? She not only went ahead and took a meticulous screenshot journey of her unboxing the game for me, so I could get basically a vicarious experience of unboxing the game, but she then went ahead and sent me video proof of it installing and patching.
Nice.
Best fucking partner in the world. Get you one of those. But yeah, I also played some more Pokemon Legends Arceus. Because I forgot I never finished that game. And I didn't remember why. Because I remember really enjoying it. And going back to it, I remember why I didn't finish it. And it's because my fucking ADHD ass doesn't play the story. Because they have the weird way you do the Pokedex in Arceus, where it's like, oh yeah, there's all these tasks to go do. So you just perpetually have this fucking stack of side quests always at the ready to do, in addition to the main story. I basically have the equivalent of like 7 badges in the game. Because I can have Pokemon up to level 70 obey me. And I still am at like level 18 level main story quests. Nice. Why? Because I want to do all this. I want to fill out the Pokedex. I want to manually get it all perfected and do the side shit. So because of that, I'm rocking around dealing with Pokemon that are like level 5 through fucking 18 with level 40s in my party because like I'm doing all the side shit. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
They keep just handing me side shit.
Going back, I was talking about FF7 again. I'm in chapter 4. Everything David said is 100% true. The game keeps getting better. April said Garfield will be happy that something good happened on Monday.
Fair. I mean, that was the only good part of my Monday, but it was a good thing to come home to.
So, anything else you play?
No, those two were the only thing I've had time to really play.
Nice. Play more House Party, that comedy porn game, because it was funny. It was funny. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was so just stupid. Just like, all right, let's see what kind of romance options are. It gives you romance options, all right. Yes, David.
Real quick, I fucking love it. I don't know if you do this. I imagine it's less of a thing in your home, but it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Yes. Furious masturbation.
Hilarious.
But no. There's nothing more funnier. But no. there's nothing more amusing sometimes than like the partner and I will be in the middle of like a deep conversation, but we'll both kind of like scroll through our phones sometimes because we just need something else to engage with as we're talking. And then like mid like a serious conversation of like finances or oh, you know, we gotta go get this taken care of for the house or something. They'll just be like, "Are those some fucking anime titties?" I'm like, "Hell yeah! You want to see?" It's like, "Hell yeah!" It's like, "Yeah, those are some good anime titties." All right, and we'll just continue on. So
Nice.
that the house parties reminded me of that. Nothing like anime titties to bring a couple together.
No, he's looking at cat pictures.
Hell yeah!
Same
You
pussy
should
pics,
start
man.
introducing more anime titties.
No, she just prefers the real ones, which is fair.
Fair?
Speaking of anime titties, actually though,
Hell yeah!
anime booty, finished through near. Um,
You'll love to see it.
man, uh, having PTSD on having to fucking upgrade shit is the worst. I hate having to write down fucking weapons at this point. I'm over it. Never want to do that again. I will again eventually, obviously, because that's what Yoko Taro fucking does. But Lord help me. I'm so glad to not. I'm glad to be done. I did cheat. I bought all the achievements. I have no shame. Fuck that. I still pretty much did everything. Only thing I didn't do was all the quests. Only one quest I missed was the reconnaissance where you had to give the Yorha unit 95% of the unit completion. I hit
Yeah.
94. I tried looking for like one more and it just wouldn't show up. I'm like, I'm good. I'm done. I'm out. I'm good. I've done everything I needed. I don't give a fuck about this last bit. Is what it is. Definitely did not do that a meal mission the first time around. I know I kind of said I did. I might have watched a video. Did not. I had a vague idea. I kind of knew what was supposed to happen, but just never the context of it. Um, Went through all the endings. That was fun. Uh, but man, like it says something. Like, am I burned out of playing near? I'm burned out of playing near. I'm tapped.
Fair.
I am now officially burnt out on playing anything Draconeer. Well, I mean, I want to play Dragon Guard 1, right? But I'm not gonna. I am burnt out. I'm tapped. I've spent probably what maybe 200 hours on this, then not even including reincarnation, which is like another 20 30 hours I spent on this game, 40 hours maybe. I'm tapped, so until that last chapter comes out, I'm good. But you know what's it says something about a franchise and a game when even after all this hours, I'm still watching reactions to moments. I'm still listening to the music. I am still like in on it. I'm just overplaying it right now. April is where they watch to put another New Year game out. I'm there day one. Fuck it. I don't give a shit. Fuck what I'm saying. I'll go back in right now. Uh, but man, like,
I need to watch him cook.
bro, like, what a fuck. Like, I love that game. That game was in my top 10 the first time we played it. Go back, listen to Games Gone By with me, David, and Gore just gush about that game. Um, with the context of everything, man, it's absurd how amazing that game is and how it's just elevated. Like, really, it says something. I picked that. My good boy still chilling.
Hell yeah!
Um, I do kind of go back and forth a little bit. I think Automata is the better game. I think at moments, Replicant really hits a little harder because it's more humanized.
It's more earnest with some of the portrayals. Like with Automata, there's definitely that grandiose element across everything. Like very much, it's almost operatic
It's
in the melodrama.
existential
Yes.
and grandiose, whereas Replicant uh feels more personal and human in a way, right? Um,
Yeah.
Automata still, I think, does everything it needed to and still hits home. I wonder because the moments in Automata didn't hit as hard. I'm curious whether it's because uh I had already gone through those moments, or maybe it's
Hmm.
because Replicant really did what it did so well. Um, Because
ARP again.
Jesus
Ah.
Christ, David, fucking hell. Have y'all watched Dune 2? I'm about to watch the first one. I have not.
You're still right by mine.
I'm not. I didn't really enjoy Dune 1. I think I know what it was me, right? Obviously, but I don't think I was in the mood for like a slow paced movie like that. So I'm gonna give it another try and then I'll watch Dune 2. But I've heard amazing things. I'm upset I didn't get the bucket, but otherwise, I've heard amazing things. How much you drink? Is he going to the bathroom? Yeah, he's going to the bathroom again. He drank a good amount tonight. He's a tipsy boy. Um, but yeah, so I'll get Dune 2 watching here sometime in the foreseeable future because I do want to watch the IMAX. So I guess I got to, right? I'm so jealous of that modded full GameCube David has in the background with his Game Boy player that's also orange. Mine's black, so it kind of looks good with the black and the orange, but like full orange, come on, man. I have an affinity for the full orange too, because my original GameCube controller that I used all the time was orange. I have it somewhere in my closet still. I got
outside the door.
when I went to Smash Tournament, I got all the Mega Man mains to sign my controller.
All right, just stare at the door.
Oh, where's David's arcade? I think he repositioned it near him now. I believe. I forget how long ago we did that.
Oh shit! What did I step on?
I'm gonna reach through the screen and take
Nothing of importance.
Adrian Moore unlocked. Where'd your arcade go? Is it near you now?
It's right over here, just off green.
Nice. Yeah. So going back to that conversation, there's parts of Replicant that stick with me. Probably a little more than Automata, but again, I don't know what I don't know. Automata is still my favorite, and I think playing Automata this time, moved it into my top 3. I think it dethroned Persona 5 Royal in my top 3. But yeah, there are times Replicant where it hit harder, and I'm not sure again if it's because I had to play so much of it or because it was more fresh. I'm not sure, but like certain moments, like man, I think just having a meal sacrifice rubbed in your face every single time something fucking terrible happens, especially because you're the person, right? I don't know why.
So fucking rough.
I don't know why, but the Gretel fight in Replicant just fucks with me. Like I don't know why. It's funny because it's like it's the first one, right? It's not the one of most consequence because it's supposed to be the one that you experience for the first time. You're like, oh, weird, right? But I don't know why. I think it's just like how the framing is of like you killed one of them. He's all alone and obviously like not in a good mind, and like these young kids come and lift him up, and then you come in there and like I think it's the moment where he just says, "Stop hurting my friends." That fucks me, dude. That moment, unironically, might be like one like the top 3 most emotional moments for me. Just like stop,
because like even with like the expectation, like if you go into it even with the understanding of how Draconeer works, of like there's gonna be some kind of flip side to this game, and you're waiting for it to happen. There's something about the realization of the twist of Replicant where it's like, oh fuck.
I think
Ooh,
I think
I don't feel good about this anymore.
I think it being first was that, and I think like of the fights that flip on you, like the dog one, obviously it's pretty fucked up too, right? But there was some back and forth a little bit, right? But I just think, man, it's just like seeing these little kids just like raise up Gretel and make him feel okay, and I think just the way Yoko Taro sets it so that the kids charge you to protect their friend and just get annihilated. And they just just again Gretel just yelling, "Stop hurting my friends," and trying to warn the kids like he's too strong. Don't. It's not for you.
Go away,
and
little ones.
And then right, and then like the juxtaposition of how you fought that, where you're dealing with Tyrion, and you don't give a fuck, right? You're bloodlust. You're like you're doing everything right, but you're not, and you have no compassion. That shot is sick, right? The final shot into Gretel and Nier's like gone full anime like Final Fantasy's like struck in the head and Nier's like he's just like
Yeah.
looking off like he only cares about one thing. I don't know, man. That whole fight fucks with me. Like I watch back on that and doesn't get quite the reaction because obviously as it builds it gets tougher and tougher to hold down. But like that's the one like out the gate, it's the one just to stop hurting my friends. Just that's so heartbreaking, man. Just the ones that saved you and they were still gonna save you, and then he's like, please, like don't. And he tries his best to like do that, and then you know what too is like later on. Remember, like he can't really fight you because he's already like lost that, and he's just screaming at himself like fucking arm, do something, and he just
Yeah.
like dude that is like that kind of moment.
It's very much because if the roles were reversed, you'd be playing the hero.
Right.
And I think that's part of the reason why it hits the way that it does.
And that's not to just mind anything. Again, Automata I still prefer obviously because of gameplay, right? But like I think it hits a lot more I think it's definitely more well rounded and everything, and I think the ideas are larger and they still hit as large. I love the philosophical side of it. I think um I think ironically enough, which is funny now that I think about it, that's why I had to pause for a second. Automata's Route B first big revelation is also probably one of the biggest hits, where it's the brother machine,
Yeah.
right? You see a little
Yeah.
guy oiling, and he's trying his best. It takes so long to
Yeah,
walk that whole thing, and he's doing that, and he's pushing his brother, saying brother, brother, and then just immediately cuts, and 9S is like, man, you're stupid. That's not real. And you're like, damn. All right, this is what we're doing. Okay.
I mean, if I wasn't a cold ass honky that fucking massacred Pascal's village on site,
You know what? And
uh,
I kind of wish I didn't do that at first with the girlfriend, just because I was like, I kind of want to get it out of the way because I don't want to do it later because I think that would be a little bit too emotional. But yeah, I think because yeah, man, I genuinely that was a terrible fucking and like the pause in between every
It's
single time.
such an uncomfortable experience the whole time. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know what I did, but I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Please stop killing us just the whole time.
And I'm kind of, again, I say it like I'm kind of glad I got it out of the way because yeah, that the fuck with my girlfriend a bit where it was she had to stop for a second. She's like the fact they keep saying like they're apologizing for you, like they're apologizing to you, and you have to, and it's not like if you level 99 that you could just purge through like Yogotaro like made you feel uncomfortable about doing that, making you pause every single time, and then I don't know, yeah, same thing, just apologizing for like saying I'm sorry, I don't know what I did, I'm sorry. I'm like, dude, like that fucks with you, like it really does.
So uncomfortable if you genuinely have any level of empathy.
But even if it made you feel uncomfortable a bit, even though you don't give a shit, but it made you feel uncomfortable about it, like that's genius, like on his end to really like do that, right?
I mean, again, for like I said in the original podcast, I mean, game told me the whole time robots are bad. I don't know, fucking kill the whole village. Why not?
I had to get it out of the way because you know what? Because I caught wind of it right at the beginning when the first robot ran away, and she's like, "He's running away. Leave him alone." I'm like, "Oh fuck." But no, that meal mission for sure. Like, I'm so glad I didn't experience it the first time.
Yeah.
I think that mission would not have hit the way it did if I had experienced it the first time without context of Nier 1.
Yeah, the whole cave filled with the flowers, and it's like, oh
dude,
my god.
Yeah, Kaine's spot there was mesmerizing. It's so fucking gorgeous, especially in the world of Nier where of Automata where like it's kind of muted colors. You get to the forest, yes, it's green, but like there's something so mad, and then the fucking music, both when you see Emil's house and both in Kaine's thing, it just hits. It just fucking hits. And yeah, and it's just like I don't know what our good boy Emil did to Yoko Taro to just have him say, I want you eternally hurt forever. But like
only Yoko Taro can truly have the same level of mind that's like, no, I want to see some hot chicks in fucking skirts and heels, but at the same time, it's like, but I want you to emotionally be in pain during it.
But
I want you to be horny and emotionally pained.
But you know, like it's funny because like he really does break the boundaries of like he's fascinating. I was reading comments. I love reading the discussions on this. But I love how much he breaks boundaries of just stereotypes. Like he's fascinated at how much we categorize ourselves, and you know he just loves fucking with that and breaking it. Because like Kaine, you know it's subtle, especially in the American version, but she's
Yeah.
intersex.
Yes.
Like you could almost
That
go
that
like,
is a major part of her character identity in
and
a
if you're
lot of
not paying
ways.
attention though, if you're kind of like not thinking about it at all, you can miss it. But like that is her personality, and it's like. But like you know, I'm sure like, and I'm not saying anything about your fiance, right? But like in passing, anyone, right? They go by,
Yeah.
they see Kaine in just this skimpy outfit, and they're like, oh, it's just because they want to appeal to horny guys, right? It's like, no, she's doing that to compensate because of how fucked up she feels,
Yeah.
and that's a whole fucked up situation in and of itself.
Because man, and again, because it's in it, and the way it's presented is also still like a psych out, because you don't really get the full context of it until the second round.
They never say no. They never
Because
say it outright though.
they never say outright, but like it's not until you actually, again, in a very cruel way of getting it, until you're getting Tyrion's voice in your head of like really getting the full context of you're not just different because you have a shade in you. That's not the only thing that's ever
But
made
like
you
it's so
different.
fascinating because it's so subtle and not at the same time, right? Because like there's only one time in the game where they really say like the most blatant way they could, where they're like, "Oh, you keep thinking you're a girl, aren't you?" or something like that. That's like the most blatant way.
Yeah.
But like it's never said, and really the only time it was is I was reading through the Grimoire Near, and yeah, that's the only time it says like kind of intersex, like blatant like that. But like, yeah, it's like it's like subtle enough, but like yeah, and you can feel that too because it's fascinating how he breaks those things down. Same thing kind of with a lot of molds, right? Like he likes to break the conventions of things with that. Um,
It's one of those things where he seems like the kind of individual I genuinely love to like sit down, have a beer with, and like fucking pick his brain, because you get the feeling that like there's a lot of his own heart spewed into his
you heard,
creations.
I was watching a video. You heard what one thing that was his inspiration that kind of fucked with him though, right? With his friend, he
No.
saw his friend like slip off a roof and die.
Oh, fuck!
Something like that, and he was like, "Yeah, that's part of my inspirational writing."
Holy shit!
Yeah, I forget what video. I think I watched like a video like why Yoko Taro is so fascinating or something like that. I believe that was a story or something. It was something very similar to that, if not that. Uh,
That weirdly, in a lot of ways, adds some interesting context to his writing.
he's an enigma. He really is like right. He's if having the mask, being so quirky and silly, literally rolling around saying "Near Automata T-shirt, Near Automata T-shirt, fuck Square Enix, shit Square Enix, Near Automata T-shirt." It's so funny and random, and he's I don't know, man. Like, but like, and I'm not gonna overdiagnose anyone you don't know, right? But like,
No,
like you don't, but you do know like creative people have a lot of outlets for things they feel, and and obviously right like Yoko Taro is such a fascinating writer, and you can tell he does a lot of this stuff because there's so much content in this universe that you can tell there's some tragic stuff that happens to him. Like
Yeah.
everyone has some tragic stuff happen, but like stuff like that, it makes more sense. I think like you hear that and you're like, oh, huh, yeah.
It's I think I know the best way to phrase it, and it's so weird and almost kind of parasocial to a degree, but like it's the best way I can explain it. A lot of people, when they look up to like an auteur creator, because I feel like a lot of people would probably put Yoko Taro in that kind of auteur creator
Oh,
category.
100 billion%.
But when you compare him to like a Kojima very much comes across as like that put together professional, where it's like he has a vision, he knows what he's going for. Yeah, you can see where there's like a certain underlying of like just I wish you would just be honest and just say that you have this here because like it's your thing, but you feel like you need to add like 8 layers of philosophy to justify it, but whatever. And it's like, okay, you are just like in that weird separated category of just a weird fucking dude who doesn't want to just say and admit to you're being a weird dude. Yoko Taro is like in that category of like, no, I see that human being, and from what I do know of him, I feel like everything he presents is a guarded but genuine presentation of himself. Where I can go ahead and see like that is a human. That is a person that is very much wearing his influences on his sleeve and is very much putting his heart out there with some of the things he creates, and at the same time is being very genuine. Like it's a shitty goofy example, but again, the whole 2B situation where he's like, yeah, I just fucking like hot women doing
I just
cool
like
shit.
he's just like I like girls. That's literally his response. I
Yeah,
like girls.
it's like I just like the aesthetic. Like just that's why. Also, send me all your fan art because
He loves
I would
cosplays.
like. Yeah, he loves cosplays. He comments on them constantly. And tattoos, he constantly
Hey,
comments
shout
on
outs to
people's
Yoko
tattoos.
Taro. I think the nearest I was like, God, there's so much fucking cosplay. Can we get some other stuff on here? And Yoko Taro, like, I guess on Twitter, responded back, "Oh, this is great."
Yeah, yeah, I saw that too. But again, like he's just genuine, and I think that's the biggest kind of differentiator.
He's got a mystique.
He has a mystique, but it's not like a putting on airs. Again, like I just use him as my favorite punching bag because he's the one that comes up most when we're talking specifically about games, which is which is fucking Kojima, where I feel like I have a vague concept of Yoko Taro, and I feel like he's the kind of dude I'd have over at my house. Like, come on, we'll have a fucking barbecue, we'll have
drunk.
some fucking beer, we'll get trash, we'll play some D&D, we'll have a good time.
He has said that too.
Guy.
He's like, I just write best drunk, which is
Yeah.
not healthy. You know, that's not healthy. Already.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, but like, you know, like a lot of artists. Oh, that's a scary thing, man. I always get a little freaked out at that, because I could promise you, if I could tomorrow, I could promise, which sucks, right? It's like I know I could write. I've always written sober, but I could promise you, if I got drunk, I could promise you, I could probably write the best thing ever, and that's gonna be a scary total line because I'd be like, I don't want to keep doing that. I can promise you, I would just be like, ooh, if I got drunk tonight, I could probably write you the best fucking novel of all time. But let's just not.
I don't do much creative stuff aside from basically the podcasting and stuff, and it's just because genuinely it's because of the fact that it is the best way for me to get socially lubricated, we'll say it in a gross way, because of the fact that I am not a social person by nature, and then I have a job that certainly less than when I was in recruiting in HR, but still to some degree requires me to put on an air of personality. So going and then, you know, we're working at 9 to 5. Oh, I mean, really, it's like fucking 8 to 7, but whatever. Working a job like that and then coming on and like, all right, time to put myself on the internet. Let's go. You know, I enjoy a little bit of social lubrication for such a thing. But it is one of those things that, weirdly enough, the only times I've ever like gotten toasted to like do something productive aside from the podcast is actually like model kits and building shelves and shit.
Right.
I have better dexterity trash than sober, and it's the most infuriating thing.
Not to derail, because I do want to still.
Yeah, go.
I want to gush, but also like I know I need to be out. And
Yeah. Let's get to the rest of the news bits that we have here.
No, well, I'm dude. I even got to the point.
Oh yeah, shit. Sorry. Go ahead.
Emil stuff. It just fucking hit.
Yes.
Like it is so unfortunate and tragic, and like, man, like what a dour way for the character to really like experience things, right? Like it's, yeah, Kelsey, I can't wait for the MGS2 game. I'm gonna love it. I can promise you Dave's gonna hate it. But man, like, what? It's so tragic, and I'm saying that it happens. But like again, it's like a real thing. Like it never feels the good thing about Yoko Taro's writing, which I am envious of, is it doesn't feel like characters are being tortured for the mere sake of it. I did hear um what was it? Craig Mazin do I think I mentioned this a while back when when I was showing the kids doing the film stuff. He had a podcast where he talked about writing. He talked about the philosophy of writing a character that you really want to care about, and it's all about torturing them. It's like you gotta torture them. You gotta kind of like just like dangle what they want in front of them, but you gotta torture them. You gotta make them like hurt. But unfortunately, a lot of people that do that, it just feels like you're hurting them, but without sake or rationale behind hurting them. Why are they hurting?
Yeah.
What is the point? Fucking Last of Us 2. What is the point of us doing all this shit? Oh, revenge. Didn't feel like a fucking point. I'm sorry. Did not feel like a point. But like these characters go through all this hell, almost a cyclical hell, but like you root for them and you never feel like fuck man, like why can we like you never feel like you want to experience their story and you want to root for them, but it never feels like you're being dealt the worst hands of all time, right? Like it's and you know he writes backwards too. You know that I want to start doing that more. I've done that a little bit, but I do like the idea because I think that's why his twists work so well, which is what I think a few other people, including like some of the Zero Time Dilemma people, have done is right backwards.
I did that for the project I never got to finish, which is infuriating. Shout outs to the real ones that remember Around the Campfire. Around the time of Around the Campfire, a buddy of mine, Dalton, and I actually started working on our own ARG called
Cannon fodder.
yes, Cannon Fodder.
You're welcome.
And that's kind of what we did is we knew we immediately came up with how we wanted the series to end and then worked our way backwards and we ran into some issues where the person that ended up being the primary character actor started to flake on us, so we had to shift gears a lot on that, and it led to an interesting thing. I do hate, and I get where Dalton was coming from, but he ended up nuking the channel, and it's because of the fact that he, in retrospect, kind of hated how the work was, because he's like he would look back on it, but I can do so much better now, and I hate that it exists in that older state, and I get it, but I wish I had an archive of the older stuff because there was one episode that just fucking got exactly the tone and the style and the horror of it perfect, which we refer to lovingly behind the scenes as the Mormon episode. But I wish I still at least had that one episode of it. But that was part of our creative process for it, is we knew where the end point was. And it is interesting doing it backwards. I feel like writing backwards works best specifically if you're doing like a mystery where
It's
truly
a
the
twist.
reveal is the
If you have a
biggest part of
twist,
it.
you have to
Yeah.
write backwards. Like that. That's just the way it's gonna always flow best. Because otherwise, if it's a twist and you have to work forwards, you really have to reach sometimes, and it doesn't work that way.
Exactly.
Dude. And then so that, and I was eager to listen to or watch, and I'm upset that it really didn't hit people as well as it should have. Uh, Ending Route E, dude. Like, uh, it caught the girlfriend off guard, which was fun. Uh, and I only saw one reaction from one dude who started crying in the middle. Like he had like those like little like onion tears every once in a while. Then especially at the end when it said, "Do you have a a message you want to send to players who are having difficulty playing near Automata?" I'm like, dude, that whole like again, we go through all the pain, right? Like it goes through all this pain and suffering. Like that's the whole meme, but it's true. Like the whole universe is just like dour, sad, but like it's still fascinating how he does it. I'm hope I get to that level one day where you just dour, sad, but you have moments of hope and moments of like this feels good, like we can do this, and you know what? It just, dude, you go through all that shit and you're dying. You're like, man, you're fucking killing the gods like you said you would at the very fucking beginning of the game. You were shooting down the fucking creator of every single part of the fucking game you made, and you were getting killed. You were getting destroyed. You're getting frustrated, and then you have people, little by little, people rooting you on. It, I feel like you want to input something real quick.
No, I want you to finish your thought.
You got input coming in, and then it's that whole thing where like, do you think, is this meaningless? Do you give up? Is this stupid? Is it all pointless? Is this all just a stupid game? And you're replying no, 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 and then like, hey, do you accept help? And you're like, all right, and then dude, just like the music just swells, and you get everyone singing, like literally everyone singing "Way to the World." You have that's Dev Team, right? That's Dev Team and Yoko Taro all singing that. And it just and you're just blasting through everything, but then you know what? You get hit, and it still leaves you with a little bit like, hey, this person's dad is lost. This person's dad is lost. This person's dad is lost. And you know what? It sucks because like I realized afterwards. I guess I knew, but I told her afterwards because there are parts like towards the end, like towards like this whole last week, really. I was telling the girlfriend, I was like, "Oh, I haven't played this part." She's like, "You love this game." I was like, "Yeah, I've never got this part, never saw this part, never saw this part," and I almost slipped a little bit. I got to the Emil part. I was like, "Yeah, I was gonna get to it, but then I didn't have my time to really beat this game, so I started over." And then I got to that, and yeah, and I was excited. You know, I was like literally excited to delete my save because it just felt good. Like, and I showed a video of it because we're studying some philosophy stuff in class, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, philosophy. There's a whole near video on that. I told them that too. I was like, hey, and I told that to them. I was like, hey, this is one of my favorite games of all time. I beat it literally last night. We went through the whole video, and they talked about the ending, how it's like that's ultimate. It's like ultimate philosophy. It tells you, hey, do you want to delete the save to help people? Yeah, you're gonna lose everything. Are you okay with that? Yes. You worked really hard to unlock these modes. Are you okay with that? Yes. Even if the person, you might even really dislike that person that's gonna receive your help. Is that okay? Yes. You might even be seen as doing this for show, and that you're not actually trying to help. You're just trying to show off your help. Are you still okay with it? Yes. Are you truly, truly like they keep asking you, and like you really are? I told them I was like, yeah, I deleted my save. That was like 50, 60 hours of that. Like, what's really? I was like, yeah. I was like excited because it was it. And it's funny because I told her after we were done with the game, I was like, that's why I didn't beat a lot of the game. I remember, and go back, let's say the games got by. I remember Gordon didn't do it. I remember I told her about, I was like, dude, I remember my exact like fucking quote on that too, where I'm like, dude, I was all in. Like, as soon as I was playing that credits, I was like, you sold me. Like, I will come. I think I mentioned it on the podcast too. I was like, I'll come back. One day I'll come back. But I was like, that ending is literally one of the greatest fucking endings of any video game. I can't think of anything so unique and so on point and literally on the like it nothing is gonna hit that way. Even the greatest cinematic of all time. Like, even though like I love Persona 5 Royal, right? I'll speak its praise forever. Love the fucking ending. One of the endings that I can reflect on and like get teary eyed about. But literally, this one's built so different.
It's such a different level.
It's built so fucking different, and like I was all in. I was like, dude, Yoko Taro had me just like, where the fuck you want me to do to get this like real part? Yeah, I felt like if I had not deleted my save, if you go through near, and I understand if like you're like I want to get through some mission stuff, you didn't do the Emil stuff. I get it, but like I feel like you do yourself such a disservice by not deleting your save at the end. Like, I feel like it culminates, like it cycles. It's literally cycled. It's like, hey, it's like everything. You're doing it all over again. It's like it's just built for you to like just do it, delete your save, and and you know what? And even so, going back, doing it all over again, and knowing in context what people gave to help you, right? Because it doesn't register to you right away. You're like, huh, this person's dad a loss. It kind of clicks with you, but the weight of it all doesn't really feel like anything until like, man, I spent 60 hours of a game I already knew, grinding it out to 100% it on my own accord, pun intended, because I was like, I need to, like, I had all the achievements bought. I could stop this right now, but I'm gonna go through it because like whatever. I feel like I owe Yoko Taro that. I'm like, you've made such an incredible universe. I want to explore as many nooks and crannies as I could. And knowing I did all that just to sacrifice it away and just help someone out, it's like, hey, you need help on that? Go for it. Like, dude, it's and then the music again, just the music just swells from 8-bit into like
So
that.
fucking good.
Every fucking version. Oh, dude, I can't. It's top three. Like it is. I there's not gonna be a world where Halo 2 and Smash get dethroned. Simply because those games built who I am, and it's like if it wasn't for those two having such a grapple on who I am, and then yeah, like you're talking like Nier's up there. Like it's scratching what it can't beat simply just off
Yeah.
legacy. Um, man, yeah, like
Mm,
it's just nuts.
And the only thing I was gonna kind of interject into this is, truly, if you're kind of looking for that high in some other media, honestly, if you haven't started watching Frieren at Journey's End, check that series out.
Type it in the chat for me
It,
because I will forget.
yeah, I'll send you a Facebook message about that. But truly, the series is almost over, at least for its first season. But it's truly been an anime that has been like a surprisingly emotional gut punch about grief and moving on, and just a wild fucking ride. I highly recommend it.
God, dude, I just the side stories and everything. Which, by the way, did you ever play Witcher? Huh?
I played the first one many moons ago, and I started 3. I got 10 hours into it, and most of that 10 hours was playing Gwent.
So sounds familiar right now. So I'm watching videos about it again. That's a testament to this fucking franchise, right? That I'm watching videos on it after all these hours. Like I'm just obsessed. But like apparently there's the Platinum got a lot of its inspiration on Witcher 3 for its side missions, which makes sense, right? Because the side missions,
Yeah.
even if you're not doing something like of interest, it's like every side mission almost, barring maybe a couple, right, feel like they have a weight to them. Like they were like written full stories that really give you something, even if it's a tiny bite size something. It's something, right? It's picking the kid back that was mad at his mom, right? It's
Yeah.
it's talking to the fucking asshole robot that's just using all these women, right? The fucking one that I love is the robot that plays stupid, but he's like, you hack into him. It's the most complex fucking mission, like most complex shooting mission, and you come back and you're like, what the fuck? He's like, hey, don't tell everyone, but like, I'm actually really smart, but they just all fall for this stupid shit, and it gets me money. So like, here's some money. I'm like, that's it's just stuff like that, right? And yeah, so like like I said, going all the way back, Replicant has some moments that just fucking hurt. That really fucking hurt. And route ending E, when you have Kaine just like spilling her heart out, finally, right? I'm so bummed I didn't experience it for the first time. I'm sure like ending E hits different for people that waited 10 years for that ending, right? But like,
Yeah. Like,
having Kaine spill her heart out really, like genuinely for the first time ever, just like you could feel the emotion in the voice acting. Like I go back and watch that, and it gets my I feel that lump in my throat where it's just like she's like, what was it like? I swore I'd be a sword. I swore I'd be your
I would
sword.
be his sword,
I
and that would be the last thing I do.
You were not allowed to fucking up and leave like that. You were not gonna tell me how to live my life. It just like, and then it plays like everything, and then it's like, so get your fucking ass back here right now, and like, and then like you hear everything, and then the ending is like, oh, dude, just everything about that is just so firing all cylinders. I'm excited for the ending of Near Reincarnation. There's been so much wacky shit going on. It's like all building to a level that I'm like, oh, this is gonna be nuts too. Um, man, it's just it's so much. But I'll much to chat now because we're not gonna do it this week. We'll probably do it next week. Um, I ran. I was curious after I beat Near Automata. I'm like, where is it? I say I interchange those. I hate that I interchange those, but whatever. I was like, where does it sit in my top 10? It's three. I land on three. I'm like, it's three. There's after all this, it's three. Um, but I looked at the rest of my list and I'm like, you know what? And I messaged David, I think yesterday or today. I was like, hey, Blue Bees, let's just talk our top like 10 list. Whatever. Let's just gush about it for a bit. That'd be fun. Cause I like doing this, which is games that we love, right? Uh
Yeah.
didn't have time or energy because I got a lot of stuff to do still. I know I'm saying that during a long-winded podcast right now, but as soon as I'm off this podcast, I'm gonna eat and do stuff until midnight. Uh, but yeah, there's that. Also, I we beat the game, and I promised her I was like, we're going long. I'm sorry. I know she's enjoying it. She's like, I'm having fun. I'm like, I know. Like, we'll marathon Harry Potter because I know she really wants to watch that. We had sidetracked for near, specifically because of the concert, um, there. So
Yeah.
um, but I was like, by the way, there is an anime I now have to watch.
Yes.
So
And oh man,
we're
I gotta
not
go
out.
through. I gotta finish going through that. I stopped because I was waiting for the last 3 dubbed episodes to come out, but now those are out. I gotta watch those.
Yep, it's all out now, isn't it?
Yes, the last 3 dubbed episodes were waiting because of the writer's strike, and they're out now. But
Yep. So we're not out. I'm not out. I have all these books I gotta read. I'm not out yet,
yeah.
but I am putting the video game aside for now because I do want to now dive into Final Fantasy Land.
On a quick segue of being out, the one quick bit of wrestling news I have, fucking kudos to a legend of the industry. The man called Sting has wrestled his last match at the age of 64. He is now officially retired. Truly a generational fucking wrestler. Anyone familiar with WCW and the history and legacy of all of that, shout out to that dude. Interestingly, did not go out on his back as many wrestlers traditionally usually do. They actually allowed him to retire not only in victory but as a champion in victory.
Good shit.
So yeah, really wild to see. He still was done dirty by the very brief time he was at WWE like he expected. And it's very unfortunate we never got the dream match that everyone fucking wanted, which was Sting versus Undertaker. But if from what a lot of what has been said from the locker room at the time, Undertaker, and he's admitted to this himself, just wasn't there at the time mentally or physically to give that match what it deserved. And it's very unfortunate the match that we did ultimately build to, which was him versus Triple H, and a shitty ass reliving of the Monday Night Wars that no one fucking asked for. But shout outs to Sting. What an amazing legacy to leave behind. And also kudos for going out on your own terms and not dying young like many wrestlers do, unfortunately. Or unfortunately being like Ric Flair and having to be in your 90s and still wrestling because you have 7 ex-wives to give alimony to. So shout out to Sting.
David,
But yes,
you've been in a good mood. We've been talking about some games that you've enjoyed.
hell yeah.
Talking about wrestling. I want you to talk about Nintendo right now.
All right. So
Is that on this? Because is there any other big news? Because I do need to. I would like you to talk about this though.
No, this is the last bit of news that actually fucking matters, truly. So we touched on this last week when this lawsuit first was announced of Nintendo suing the creators of the Yuzu Nintendo Switch emulator, as well as apparently they were also responsible for a lot of the code for the Citra 3DS emulator, which is basically the only 3DS emulator that's worth its salt. Yuzu, a couple days ago said, we're lawyering up. We're not going to take this sitting down. And then basically announced immediately, yeah, we're settling with Nintendo and we're going to pay them $2.5 million.
Which, that is already unfortunate. Luckily, I mean, I guess in their ways, they could just declare that as the company and they can get out their own which is
Yeah, they're an LLC, so they can basically file as a company for bankruptcy,
the
liquidate whatever assets they have, and
now. Obviously, they had an argument of some sorts because again, the cryptoware, or whatever. I don't give a shit about that. I do, but the thing that upsets me the most is like, and Mudahar pointed this out, and it made sense to me even when I read it. Dude, that statement they put out felt like the most like hostage situation. Make a fucking comment and say this shit right now.
yeah. So here's the thing, and they now here's the beauty of the project. Is technically both Yuzu and Citra are FOSS, free open source software. So there's already been people forking it, and these emulators are gonna live on by other people. The original teams won't be involved, maybe air quotes. But the beauty of FOSS software is others will continue where they left off. However, where I unfortunately do have to relent and understand that Nintendo had legal precedence. Because, and I said this on the podcast last week until I'll admit I had a chance to really look at the things, is that Bleem versus Sony set the precedent legally in the US, which is if your software is legitimately not using any direct code from the original, and you are not directly doing anything to pirate software, and you're basically just there as like the moral gray area of academic purposes, or oh, you're playing with your own legal backups. Oh, we just presume people that are playing these games rip the games themselves to
Sure.
use it for. That is what the legal precedence is for. Is that your emulator is there so that way people that have legally backed up their own games can go ahead and play those games. The reason Nintendo had such a strong footing that caused the developers to basically back down is specifically because of the fact that they were taking Patreon donations, and one of those Patreon tiers was making sure that games prior to release were getting additional content added in to make sure they work optimally for the emulator.
Well,
If they hadn't been doing that, they would have been legally cleared.
the most of I don't know.
Because here's the thing, Ryujinx, another Switch emulator, another competitor, also had from day one support for Tears of the Kingdom before Tears of the Kingdom was out. The key difference being they didn't charge people for early access to builds that were designed to work with those leaked versions of the game.
Yeah, so there is the only little caveat to all that is that there is like some bypassing of like whatever, what do you call it? I'm blanking on the word right now, but there's some bypassing of some sort of
The
I
way
don't know, I
they're
can't.
phrasing it is the DRM protection.
Yeah, so they're bypassing
is,
something like that, which is the way they can get about saying this is why it's not good. But the reason why they were tackled was because of accepting the Patreon money for specifically that. If they really,
yes.
really wanted to, they can try to tackle the other thing. But I think the thing that actually ruffled their feathers enough to take the step forward was the accepting of money.
And that's because, again, Bleem versus Sony proved that we can circumvent your copyright all you want. Because, again, we're presuming there is that plausible deniability that the end user is the one that's taken it upon themselves to rip you their own game collections, which in the U.S., not going to, quote other countries, but in the U.S., you are technically allowed to have a legal rip one time of your owned media, and that came about because of CDs, etc., and all that. But theoretically, that is that weird legal gray area where plausible deniability comes in, and that's what protects every other emulator out there. The problem is that Yuzu flew too close to the sun on trying to get donations, and it ultimately bit them in the ass because of it.
Right.
So again, unfortunately, Citra and Yuzu from the original developers have ceased development. But again, the beauty of FOSS, other people have already forked them and they're working on them. They'll continue on. They'll, as long as they don't repeat the same mistakes, Nintendo can't do anything about those forks. But also, I have said this multiple times on the podcast, and audience, I need you to really listen when I say this. Piracy is always ethical. I don't give a fuck what some fucking corpo fucking says. I don't give a fuck what any weird ass bootlicker that comes out of the woodwork that's like, oh, people are just pissed they can't get free things anymore. Fuck off. Absolutely fuck off. The whole point of piracy is not, again, the vast majority, as Lord Gaben himself has confirmed with the whole reason why Steam is successful. The point of piracy isn't the fact that people just want shit for free. It's because of the fact that people want things in an easy to access and manage way. Yes, truly, at the end of the day, there will always be a certain small minority subsect of people that want to just never pay for anything. And you know what? Going after one single emulator is not going to stop those one individual people. You may not like to hear the truth on this, but those people are always going to find a way to get it for free. And if they can't get it for free, they're just going to ignore it and find something else they can find for free. So there's no lost sales in this scenario. Grow the fuck up. Truly, the main reason a lot of people use Yuzu and Ryujinx and other Switch emulators is truly because of the fact that the Switch hardware is now 7 years old. Happy anniversary, Switch. It was a couple days ago. And the console runs like shit. Some developers have done some amazing optimizations. The Witcher 3, I don't know what fucking black magic CD Projekt Red did to make the game run as well as it does on Switch, but fucking kudos to you and your team. You do it. But when the vast majority of Switch releases are running at 30 FPS, but you can go ahead and rip your game and throw it on PC and get native 4K 60 out of your Switch games, that's why people are predominantly emulating Switch. It's not really because, oh no, I can't have my free 10Ds. It's because they want 4K 60 FPS from the games they legally purchased.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just really want to say super quick before you go on. If you're going, I think we're gonna go longer. Shout out Saber Interactive made ported Witcher 3 to Switch.
Hell yeah, Saber Interactive then. Giving credit where credit is due. Phenomenal fucking job on that. And also Nier. I've heard good things about the Nier.
I have heard about that. I'm wrong with that because it does have a couple extra things. And then I'm reading really quick on that. Quote, when the initial part of the game was running on Witcher 3 on Switch, it was running 10 frames per second, taking 50% more memory than Switch has, and the build size was 20 gigs larger than the biggest Switch cartridge. But working that way down.
Yeah.
Feels good.
So, and especially where, again, Switch has one of the shittiest things with this console gen, which is it's the only of the mainline 3 consoles that has digital only purchases for a lot of its physical games, air quotes, where maybe one game is on the cartridge. If you're lucky and it's a big bundle, maybe 2 games are on the cartridge, but the rest are digital download only. And this is coming from Nintendo, a company who we've seen close the Wii shop, close the 3DS shop, close the Wii U shop. The 3DS shop alone is still, the 3DS is one of the top 3. Yeah, go ahead.
Primer is leaving. It says I got hopefully next time show off the roster next week. Promise.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't want to
we promise we will do that. Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things where truly, even with one of the largest selling consoles, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure at this point now the 3DS is the third most selling console of all fucking time. And yet, even being the third most highest selling console of all time, it very least top 5, but I'm pretty sure it's top 3 right now, is not enough to save it from Nintendo just saying, no, servers are gone. You can't download your purchases anymore. They're the only company to have, at this point, shut down 3 fucking storefronts. Who are you to trust them? I made this comment to Neo, and I appreciate where Neo is coming from. Where, again, he's coming from that misguided thought of like, oh, people just want shit for free. But no, here's the thing. Again, at the end of the day, piracy is always ethical because it's not about the fact that, yeah, in a little bit of time, there could be a shutdown of the Switch servers and etc. Pirating everything the moment you're able to should be done because at the end of the day, tomorrow is not guaranteed. How many in this day and age live service games have we seen immediately shut down or shut down after only a couple months? How many games released to little fanfare and because they had such a small limited print run, the games go for like thousands? Just the other day on my fucking Twitter feed, I saw something, and it was the weirdest shit. I should go back and see if I can find the tweet, because if I didn't retweet it, I should. There apparently in like Italy was a physical release, a very limited physical release about a game about tampons, and basically it was meant to be like an edutainment game for women going through the big change. And learning about Aunt Flo and shit like that. And fucking, I never even heard of this fucking concept as a game, first and foremost. Let alone getting such a weird limited run, and also only a weird limited run in Italy. Like, that is on the level of, like, that fucking, it was it, like, Shit Flinger or Poop Flinger, wherever the fuck it is, where there's
Poop
that
Slinger?
game that you could only buy, yeah, Poop Slinger. Whereas, like, you could only buy it from, like, a really sketchy Russian site. But the people that did now have one of the most highest grossing and rarest games of all time. It's the weird little things like that where it's like, that should be pirated day one. Every single game that ever fucking comes out should be immediately out online everywhere. Because there is never a guarantee that those games will ever exist again beyond those points. And so
Legally, David is not
yeah,
telling you to pirate. He's just saying it's very ethical.
yes, legally I'm not saying go pirate things, but however, as someone who has gone ahead and acquired development cartridges and dumped them online, it is always fucking ethical. So shout out to Atlas if you ever want to come after me. I doubt you will. But you're welcome for me putting Devil Children Icebook development cartridges online.
For the other one, other people that also own that same developer cartridge.
I'm pissed with that person because they helped me do a data dive into it because I've talked about like one other time, I think, in deep dive, but TLDR, they bought the auction I was trying to buy, which is they outbid me on the auction that had both Ice Children and Fire Children. I just got Ice Children. Now, my copy of Ice Children is the earliest known prototype. Theirs was basically like prior to full release. So the version that they have is basically what's in the release version. I worked with them on trying to uncover a lot of information, and I do dislike that all they do is upload like snippets of their development cartridges because they have other development cartridges that they've bought over the years. They'll upload like snippets of video from those cartridges to their YouTube, but they don't ever do a raw dump of their file to add to any repositories anywhere. And I think that's shitty. If you have your access to that, you should be dumping that online and preserving it. Not just trying to farm YouTube views because look at this rare thing I bought, Lamau.
Sure.
That's fucking shit.
Or breaking a rare Chinese GBA SP.
Hell yeah, or doing that.
Hey, I
Uh,
gotta start wrapping up. There's a couple things I want to
yes.
mention. HBO, HBO listed the Looney Tunes original cartoon, didn't they? I forget if they did it or not, but
They
uh,
threatened to, and there was enough backlash that I believe they walked back on
hey,
that.
someone leaked the entirety of the things that happened in Coyote versus Acme.
Hell
I have
yeah.
a friend that worked on that production, which is super unfortunate. Uh, fuck yourselves for doing that. I stand by the fact that if someone tax write offs a movie, public domain, that should be straight up
Yes.
public domain.
Straight up.
I hope someone does that because they it was posted like a week ago or so that it's in the process of being deleted. So whoever has that, leak the fuck out of that. If you have that,
Please
leak
do
the
do
fuck
the world a favor.
yeah, leak the fuck out of that because fuck them. And last thing, I want to give a big shout outs. I mentioned David before the podcast. Uh, podcast guest on Blue Rubies, Samuel to Geek, just won his election. So he is
Did he
now,
really?
yeah, he just got the concession call from his opponent. So congratulations, brother. I'm gonna give him a call here right after this podcast. Give him congratulations. That's some good shit, dude. Again, I get hype. Whenever you see your friends fucking moving on up, hell yeah, dude. That's some good shit. That is awesome to see. So, with that said,
Hell yeah.
we're gonna head out. I got a hell of a 3 hours ahead of me. Um, everyone in chat, Kels at Becky, A Ferrari, appreciate all you guys. Next week, A Pepperoni is gonna give us a smash roster. We'll probably talk top 10 games. So hopefully it's a slow news week.
Top 10 games of all time. It's not like our games of the last year, right?
Yeah, I put all times. Uh,
Yeah.
Also, I we didn't even mention on the whole thing. Nintendo also had them bring down that 3DS emulator. So fuck you.
Yeah, that's what I talked about, Citra.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
fun stuff. Uh, anyway, GG's everyone. Everyone, David, you had something to tell me. I remembered.
Yeah.
Stream. Adios.
Bye.
Bye.